All right, good morning. Welcome in for another Friday Safety Focus of the Week. Today is May 9th. This week's code of conduct is to work in an environmental conscientious manner. Anything to add, Ben?
Just be responsible and do the right thing.
Friendly reminder, spill kits are in the tool crib if you need them. So some safety stats. We kind of had a little reset over the last 2 weeks. Definitely this week's was a kind of a rough week for us. So 13 from our last recordable, 2 days from our last first aid, and then 6 days from our last vehicle incident. We have a reminder, please report all incidents to your supervisor immediately. And then also supervisors, please report to the safety department same day if possible. We can definitely help triage and help a situation out if we know about it. We can save some time and some costs to help with the situation that you're dealing with. Please don't feel like you have to do everything on your own. Call for reinforcements, and we are here to help. So this week, just wanted to highlight and join in correlation with OSHA. May 5th to the 9th was a national safety stand down in construction, all about falls. You know, it's a stop fall stand down. Kind of have throughout the United States, have employers kind of do a toolbox talk, a safety meeting, just provide some basics to prevent falls in construction. Again, it's really the leading cause for all fatalities at the workplace, other than driving to and from work or driving a vehicle, is when someone slips and falls or is not tied off or does not have a guardrail system. So we're going to talk a lot about that today. So we're just going to really put an emphasis on falls, how to prevent them, and kind of what we do here at ECI. So when do we need fall protection? You know, it really all depends on the situation. The standard has all different requirements, compliance requirements, and it all depends on the type of work that you're doing. So with steelwork falls under subpart R, which is 15 feet, the standard says. Again, we can go above and beyond that if we feel like we're at risk for a fall. We don't have to follow that 15 feet to a T, but there's places where we might want to adopt that or go raise the level and shrink that down to the standard 6 feet that subpart M has. With our rail work and our rail bridges, the FRA says we need it at 12 feet. So that's the distance that a person could fall would be 12 feet. Subpart L is all about scaffolding systems. So again, that is also our form bracket systems is at 10 feet. But again, there could be a situation where we might want to shrink that down to 6 feet. But again, the requirement and the standard is at that 10 feet. And then all other situations that are in those classified standards, such as subpart L, FRA, and subpart R, is going to be 6 feet standard in construction. Now, we might work at Global Foundry sometimes, and they might say 4 feet for your general industry kind of manufacturing plants. They have kind of a 4-foot fall rule in those situations. So again, it all depends on you where you're at. So again, best practice is really good pre-planning, looping in safety, especially if you have any questions, but really think about our work and think about our environment ahead of time. And then our last is our mobile elevated work platforms, which is what we call kind of our man lifts. You need to have it inside the basket all the time, be tied off, harness, and tethered to the basket at all times. Doesn't matter if you're unloading, loading off a trailer, just moving in the backyard, we should always have a harness when operating a man lift. So again, looking at everything kind of through the hierarchy of controls, for us, that's best practice. How are we going to eliminate? How are we going to reduce the potential for a potential workplace hazard? Again, the most efficient way is to eliminate, try to physically remove the fall hazard if we can. We have a passive approach, which is kind of non-dynamic. It's more of a prevention manner. is also could potentially work, but again, a lot of this stuff is done really in the pre-planning phase and before we have kind of boots on the ground. And then once we kind of have boots on the ground, that's when we're going to try to use a restraint system, isolating people from the work, which would be in lieu of like a guardrail system. Then we have the arrest system, which would you actually would fall, but then you would rely on your harness, your lanyard, your tie-off point from actually making you hit an object below or hitting the ground below. And then the admin in the hierarchy of controls is really that team communication, active warning signs, controlled access zones, we'll talk about in a little bit. That is really least effective because you're relying on someone to warn you that you're about to step off a roof or step off a precast concrete structure and hit the ground below. So again, another way of looking at it is kind of like a little step up here. Same approach. We want to try to eliminate if we can. We want to be passive, which is kind of that guardrail system where actually we are preventing falls from actually occurring. And then if we can't do that, then we're getting into the more of the restraint systems. And then that kind of last option is that controlled access zone for us. So here's an example of a controlled access zone. This is kind of our standing operating procedures for precast, since it's really hard to like set up a guardrail or figure out good tie-off points when we're doing this precast work. Safety department will be on site, kind of being that controlled access person that's just focused on, hey, stay away from the edge. Again, we're going up limited time, just unhooking, and then the employees are then kind of removing themselves from that potential fall hazard. Something that we do, it's very, very passive, but it's what we have to do for that type of scope of work. And it's been a very efficient and effective means of providing some fall protection for those types of projects. Kind of the standard, what you mostly see and what we try to do majority of the time is set up guardrail systems. So here's a perfect example. This is a controlled building. I want to say this one's in Middlebury. But again, we have a top rail, a mid rail, a toe board because we're working underneath it. So it prevents any kind of struck by from above. But again, that we are physically kind of removing the hazard because the employee can't fall as long as it's good lumber. And again, it got to withstand 200 pounds of lateral force. Your uprights are roughly every 8 feet. Your top rail is at roughly 42 inches plus or minus 3. So again, that's 45 to 39 inches. And then your mid rail is kind of in between that. It's the best system that we can do. It prevents a fall from occurring. So continue to follow best practices. If you have questions on any guardrail systems, there's other fasteners and things that we can do. We've been very creative in the past. I know Richmond Bridge, we did some, Jacob and crew had some unique ways to set up a guardrail system as we're building that SOE wall in Richmond. So it's a best thing we can do is try to figure out how to use guardrail systems. When we can't use a guardrail system, we have to use kind of a personal fall arrest system, which is you have a full body harness, you have an anchor point, and then you have a body connector. So from your body harness to the anchor point. And for the most part, we're using retractable lanyards now, cable for steel work, or there's also synthetics for kind of the man basket work. The nice part about is the retractable lanyards, it works like a seatbelt. It kind of locks you in, and you can't free fall very far. So again, each anchor point needs to withstand 5,000 pounds per person to make you safe. One of the things that gets overlooked is actually a rescue plan, because again, this system, you're still going to fall. So you need to make sure we figure out a plan in place how to get that worker safely back up on their feet, because they're going to be dangling. If the system works properly, they're going to be dangling off their anchor point for a while. So we need to get them up to safety. And if that's using man lifts, aerial lifts, or we have ladders available, all different types of ladders that can be deployed, rescue ladders that can be deployed off a bridge like this, or the rail bridge that we typically use. We have a couple different things, but those are the pre-planning things we need to think about ahead of time, so we're not caught scrambling at the 11th hour trying to figure out a rescue plan. So that's kind of what I have. It's kind of quick and dirty on fall protection, but I just wanted to highlight the importance of it, kind of talk about the national safety stand down that's going on throughout the United States. You might see stuff on the news. The AGC of Vermont's pushing some stuff out as well. So again, let's follow best practice. Let's identify those
10
fall
foot too.
hazards and do our best
It might
to prevent
change the
falls
looks. I
in
might try to get him
construction.
to tell him like, hey, pick that like 4 inches. In.
Ronnie,
Yeah.
please mute yourself, Ron.
Yeah.
Ben, anything to add?
Yeah. Another area where we've had a lot of issues over the years is falling from a trailer or slipping when you're up climbing into some of our equipment, which is quite high, especially some of the loaders and excavators. So just
Yeah, that's
just
true.
remember that when you're doing all this stuff, remember that 3 point of contact and exiting the machines and getting back up and down in the proper manner.
That's a good point.
You know, a lot of
Falls from same elevation. Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
We had quite a few of those. We don't have grade stakes anymore, but that used to be scary when we had grade stakes everywhere and people would slip off a piece of equipment. Happened to an SD Griswold driver one time. I think when it was still Griswold's, and he slipped off his truck and had a grade stake go right through his leg. So you gotta watch out for the other stuff, the housekeeping beneath where people are working, even if we have the fall protection. Okay, anything else, Matt?
I
Or
wanted to add one thing real quick about the retractables.
Yeah,
It's important to keep in mind that the retractables, they do stop quickly, but they don't retract when you do fall. So something to keep in mind when you're at the end of your 20-foot retractable, you're also at the end of a 20-foot pendulum. So your anchor point should be as close to you as reasonably possible, and that pendulum effect should be taken into account with your job site safety planning.
Yep.
Yeah, excellent point, Phil. Thank you.
Yeah. And for the most part, I think, being prepared and having all that gear on, it seems that we haven't hopefully had to exercise, the pendulum effect too many times. Hopefully.
No, that's true.
It's it seems that the more prepared we are, the safer we actually are. It's just these devices that we use, Matt, are secondary, and that having that good plan and that good self-discipline really is key.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing it back to behavior-based safety, Ben.
Okay.
Very important.
You're welcome. All right. Can I share my screen now, Matt?
Oh yeah, take it away.
Okay. We'll keep this one will be, we're getting a little bit busier, so hopefully we're going to trim, which we trimmed the last couple meetings down a little bit so we can get out there. Let me see if I can get the right screen this time, as I had can you see it?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Just trying to fix my camera. There we go. All right. So good morning. We've got a few announcements. The first one, I believe the 11th, according to my calendar, is Mother's Day. So that's an important one to remember. Do something special for the moms out there on Sunday. I'm sure the stores will have plenty of stuff that you can get, even if it's at the last minute. They seem to always have something. But show appreciation for for the mothers. Another one we have is I think everyone has received a link to the Employee Navigator. Any questions with that? Call Erin or give her a shout, or give Melanie a shout. This portal is for all ECMI employees. It has all of our benefits in there. There's documents in there that we can read that tell us about our benefits. And it's meant to be a portal for us to view and manage our benefits. There's also certain things we can do in there to make changes if we want. But if you don't have that, try to, we had a link that went out that might not be working anymore. So give Aaron a call. This navigator is going to be primarily for all of your benefits. There will be another employee portal that's upcoming, and that one's going to be for the ESOP. So we're going to have another portal. We'll have a total of 2 portals for the employees, and that ESOP portal is going to be coming out soon. A quick update on the ESOP itself is that, you know, a lot of things are still being audited and put into place so that we can get that first onboarding all completed, and we'll have our portals, and we'll all up to speed. We've had 12 meetings so far about the ESOP. Right now, we don't have another one scheduled until we get a little more feedback from everyone. I think Aaron sent a list out to the project managers and the managers this morning or last night that gave us a list of all the people that have not been to the ESOP meeting. I encourage everyone to go and listen and ask questions, because I think it's a good basis. At those meetings, we're also distributing the summary plan document. That summary plan document, we're going to kick it out a little earlier than the third-party administrator. We're going to try to kick it out, I think, today or Monday to everyone who hasn't received one. So you can read about the ESOP, but if you have that and you look at it, then come to one of the meetings. I think that would be really good. Anybody have any comments on or encouragement for anyone that's been to one of those meetings? Want to encourage anyone to go, because I think it was, from my viewpoint, I learned something every all of the 12 meetings. I learned something. So anyone else have any advertisements to try to encourage everyone else to go?
Sounds like you guys actually went out and did one on a job site, right?
Yeah, we went. Yeah, we did. We went out to Jake Vernew's project, the global project, and Jake Vernew put that together for us, and we went out and talked to his crew right in the field in the job trailer, and it worked out pretty good. We have a little PowerPoint that we do, and we were able to set it up in the trailer, and the guys came in, and hopefully they got some good information out of it. But certainly, anything is on the table. You know, if we can come to you, and that would be great. We don't want to disrupt the jobs and try to force ourselves to go out and tell you we're coming to your job, but please invite us and we'll set it up and we'll come out. Another reminder, we're still in the healthcare premium holiday, and I know all those that are on the ECI healthcare are very happy about that, because there's no premiums, and I don't believe they'll resume until the July 18th check. So that's good. If you have not, any of those that are driving the pickups with the fuel transfer tank, if there's not a transfer tank card in it yet, get with Sarah. She has the cards that are all set up for those vehicles with transfer tanks in them. Okay, this week's, is Tom Lawyer on? Tom, I think I saw you.
I am. Yes, sir. Yep.
So we've got the focus of the week this week. Oh, one more thing.
Yep.
One more thing. Scott Burns. I don't know if Scott Burns is on this morning, but we know that he's been out. He's been he's out of the hospital, at least he was for one day. He's doing pretty well. He came in yesterday, and I want all of us to provide as much support that we can to the drivers and to Brian Harrington. You know, they're out there. They're one down right now without Scott helping coordinate things. So I know that they're all going to do well, but I think that they would all appreciate a little extra understanding and support from all of us. That is such a key part of our business, and we just need to make sure that they're okay. So provide the support to the drivers. Okay.
Well said, man.
I wanted to kick that in there.
Yep.
If without them, we would have a hard time building anything. Okay, go ahead. You want me to drive, Tom?
Yep, I'll have you drive, and I'll go through it quickly here, and we can get to work. So,
and
yeah.
Tom, one more thing.
Yes,
we've
sir.
all driven by this job, and we've all wondered what it was. That's why I wanted you guys to tell us what the heck you were doing over there. All right, go ahead.
A lot of visibility, no doubt about it. So, ECI contract with Vibrant Church to install a new 4-inch HDP water service line for fire protection to their building. This new dedicated service line is a requirement for a new child daycare program at the church. We tried to do this last fall, but it didn't work with the timing of Champlain Water District, so it was an early spring project for us. They're anxious to get the daycare center open for sure. The new water line the new water service line connects to an existing 6-inch water main next to Williston Road and runs across the parking lot to the building. The existing 6-inch water main owned by CWD is very old and delicate. It's about 4.5 feet off Williston Road, so we were right on the edge of the road there. Careful excavation was performed to locate and tap into the new water main. The existing water main is fragile due to its age and being constructed of a cement-based material. CWD was on site during the excavation and during the tapping process. And actually, prior to the tapping, because they couldn't trace this line and they weren't exactly sure what size or the location, we did an exploratory dig a week ahead of time to locate that. So that's why you saw us out there for a while. We had a little pause in the middle of all of it. So the new service line includes a new gate valve that was installed at the tap location. We used horizontal directional drilling to perform the install under the parking lot without disturbing the pavement, and also under a portion of the grass surface area. You want to scroll down a little bit, Ben? There we go.
There's a lady at the church that came to see me when I was playing around with the mulch, trying to get a picture for this, and she was amazed. She knew who you were. She was amazed that you guys could put the line under the pavement, because they were worried about cutting all that pavement that they had, done just recent. So
yeah, no, absolutely. Our
just,
crews did a great job on that, because it was tight near the building for sure, but they saved all the asphalt. Excavation at the building was performed as a receiving pit for the HDD to core drill the foundation and install the new fire line into the building. We did have to remove and replace a couple sections of sidewalk, but those came out. Actually, the new sidewalk that the concrete guys installed looks a lot better than the old stuff for sure. So this picture here is the new gate valve at the tap location. We had Mike McDougall. Many of you know Mike. He does most of our taps. He did the tap for us here. And what's not shown here is kind of buried under that stone is the actual AC water line and the tapping sleeve. But that went off without a hitch. It was scheduled, and we had CWD on site for that process as well. Next picture down, Ben. This is kind of this is the week we had good weather, which is kind of nice. Here's the board pipe right next to this shovel you see here. We set up our drill basically where that trench box is before any of this excavation, drilled down to depth that we wanted to achieve, and then continued to the building. So this is after we opened it up for the tap-in and for the final fusing, which you'll see in another picture here shortly. In the next picture, actually. So here the guys we used a coiled pipe to get under the driveway near the building. We didn't have a lot of room for pipe laydown area, so we used a coiled pipe pulled across the driveway to the entry pit, and then we fused on a straight section of pipe here, which kept us, it made it a lot easier for the connection and kept a perpendicular connection to the existing main. The pipe was tested after installation, had no issue with that. This is a kind of an overview looking from the church across to where the tie-in was made. Ben, you recognize that building?
I do. Some of the old ECI people spent many hours in that building.
Yeah.
Back in the old days.
In the mid-'80s.
Any younger people won't know what it is or was.
In the mid-'80s, about 4 o'clock, that was ECI's remote office. There was just a lot of ECI vehicles there. So anyway, we'll leave that at that. So
yeah.
Next picture down.
So the red line that Brendan put this part together. So the red line is where your line goes. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Just to the right of that window we went into that's where our excavation, that's where core to the building was. And you see how nice their asphalt is. So they really did not want to cut that. And there was a lot of conversation going back and forth with the fire sprinkler people about 4-inch versus a 6-inch, which if we had to go with a 6-inch, we would have had to do we probably would have cut across that. So that was a good thing.
And so Tom, the lady that came out of the church, she asked me if we were going to remove the paint on the parking lot. from the dig safe, and I told her it would wear off. But
Yeah.
I've never had
Thank
that
you.
request before, but she was very concerned about the blue,
Yeah.
the blue dot and also the red lines.
Yeah.
So
Thanks. Beautiful. I appreciate you fielding that call. Don't I? Now I don't have to. That's good.
I think I can see
Okay.
the gate valve on this photo right at the bottom of
Yeah.
that red line right there.
Yep. Looks. Yeah. Exactly. And this
Looks
other
like
service that you
yeah.
see to the right. This
Oh, I
is a
see that.
dedicated. This is a dedicated service. So this water service is for their potable water for the above grade shut off that you see here on the right hand side of that picture.
Oh, okay. So
Two separate lines.
yeah, the
Yeah,
curb
two
stop
separate-
extension that you see sticking up looks new.
It
Or
is.
maybe.
When we did our exploratory, Mike Wright located the one that they had. It was just crushed and beaten, and it needed to be replaced. So the water district provided it, and we installed it while we were there.
Yep. Pretty cool. Thanks, Tom.
Yep.
And it's ready for service. I don't know if it's in service yet because who knows what they had to hook onto inside, but your portion is done, right?
We are done. I'm not sure where the sprinkler people work, but where they're
Yeah.
at, but we're in a good spot. So project went great, and thank you to everybody who worked on it for sure.
It's nice to be able to do we put some of all of our big, huge, extravagant projects out there, and it's nice to put some of these jobs that we do right in our own neighborhood.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us were like, what is that? We know what the Richmond Bridge is. We know what some of the other big jobs are, but when we see a big hole with one of your pieces of equipment sitting there, we're wondering what is he doing over here? So
Yeah.
good job. Thank you. And thanks to the concrete crew. We didn't get a picture of their awesome sidewalk, and we should have. But it looks so good that the lady from the church said that she's thinking that I told her to call Ron Johnston or Todd Nelson, because she said, well, maybe we want to replace some of the other sidewalk. So I'm trying to get some business for you.
Well done, Ben.
All right. So I found
work.
this photo. It looks to be the 4020. This is in about 2001. And there's another church. So
Yeah, I see that.
I don't know what church this is. Maybe somebody knows, but this was in the archives, and it's an old one when we were just getting into the drilling with some of our newer, that I think that 4020 was pretty new right there.
Yep. It looks it. I don't recognize that church either. So
No. I recognize the trailer and the mud system on it. But if anybody knows where that is, send me an email and I'll attach. I don't know if it has a geolocation on that photo because it's so old. It could have even been a scanned photo back then. Yeah, it was a scanned photo. See the time date. Some of those time date ones are the 35 mils that we used to scan in the old days. So, all right. Well,
good enough.
I hope my goal was to get this meeting completed this week before 7:00, and it's 6:58. So everyone be safe out there. Remember Mother's Day, and have a good weekend and be safe. Anything to add,
Thanks,
Matt?
Ben.
I'll turn it back to you.
Nope, just the normal. Watching a group setting, please send that over so we can capture attendance. It's going to be a rainy day, so put your rain gear on, but let's have a safe day out there.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Tom. And thank you, everyone else.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Matt. Have a good day, everybody.
Good day.